So in our model, how do we fit all these pieces together? Well, we're going to talk about it in terms of what is called the RAND Reading Research Study Group model. They call this a heuristic, which is sort of just a way of saying it's a model to help you understand a concept. It may not be totally comprehensive. In this model, there are three central pieces to what constitutes reading comprehension. One is the text. Whatever the given text is, that's important in terms of comprehension. Second, what the activity is, that determines comprehension. And third, what the reader is capable of doing, that determines the comprehension. All of this occurs, of course, in a sociocultural context, an environment in which that's hopefully facilitating literacy and facilitating reading comprehension. How have we put this into CALI? Well, what we've done here is we have selected a number of practices that align with the areas of the RAND model, the text, the activity, and the reader that I'll describe to you momentarily. We built this in around these instructional techniques, and we've also built in, you see here, helper support. Now, you're doing this professional development. You may not have someone to help you on a regular basis. We hope, though, that you will serve as each other's helpers and be able to work with each other to make this happen. You can also work with an instructional coach or other instructional leader at your school to do this. And if you're very lucky, we can come to your school and help you. But that might be a little bit tricky. Whatever the case is, we do think getting support from someone to get this process started is highly effective. So let's talk now about the way this is going to work in terms of our cycle of the 2 days we have together to do this work. First, we're going to talk about text selection and world knowledge and word knowledge. And this is all about setting up the text. That was this box here, was the text box. We're going to talk about how to select a text. We're going to talk about how to provide students with background knowledge, world knowledge, related to concepts, and word knowledge, vocabulary necessary to make that text understandable to students. The second thing we'll do on that first day is to talk about how to get students to read the text. What was this box here? This was activity, if you remember. And with the activity, we're going to give you a set of activities we think are effective to help students maximize comprehension. First, we set a purpose for students to read. Second, we teach them how to get the gist using an individual gist process. And then we teach them how to do text summary. All of these strategies are involved in summarizing text, which is a highly effective evidence-based practice. So that's the activity. And finally, and then related to that, only on the second day, we're going to talk about the same strategy, but now at the associate level, meaning having students do it in partners. Turns out middle schoolers prefer to be called associates rather than partners, so we call them associates. And thank you to Jade Wexler, the principal investigator for this project, for that term, which she used with students very successfully in the past. So now that we have the activity piece together, the final part of this we'll go into on the second day is student support. Because ultimately, comprehension doesn't work unless it works for the given student. And a critical concept here is that we're not just designing instruction for just one level of kid in the class. We need instruction that works for everyone. And what we found in our research is that it doesn't work if you just do one thing all the time for all the kids. You need to actually provide individualized instruction to provide students who are struggling with foundational skills related to comprehension and kids who have great capability, to provide them with skills to expand their comprehension by doing more independent activities. So those are the things that need to be put together in order for CALI to work. All of these things, I'll say finally, are embedded in this instructional techniques framework. And throughout, we're not only going to talk about each of these areas, the text, the activity, and the reader, we're going to talk about instructional methods for helping you actually do this. We're going to embed in there, for example, strategies like doing choral response to get students to engage in world knowledge and word knowledge. We're going to talk about ways you can facilitate co-teaching if you're in a co-teaching environment, but these methods will be specific to the content or literacy instruction. Finally, we'll talk about creating a classroom climate that is conducive to making all this work. Because when you're having students work in pairs and when you're having lots of varied classroom activities, we found that it's incredibly important to have a classroom environment that promotes that. So we're going to give you instructional techniques around all of these things that will support that. So we're excited to do that with you. Before your facilitators take over, I'll just say that these are the activities you're going to do throughout the PD to make all that happen. The facilitators will talk you through that in further detail. So facilitators, go ahead and talk that through in further detail.